Well, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, this is Mark Fitzpatrick from Tiger Club Kansas City, and welcome to our Tiger Club Zoom call for Tuesday, March 16th. We're excited today to have as our guest Mizzou Athletic Director Jim Sterk joining us from Columbia. Before we begin, as I always like to recognize our sponsors, Conrad's Restaurant and Ale House in Liberty, tigerboard.com, the sports scene in Lee Summit, Stables Grill in Kearney, and of course, Chicken and Pickle in North Kansas City. Darren Whitex manning the engineering duties for our Zoom call. And thanks as always to Barry Canner and Paul Blackman for lining up our excellent group of speakers throughout the year. As we announced last week, we have a date for the return of our golf tournament, which is the biggest fundraiser of the year for the club. After skipping the 2020 event due to the pandemic, we'll be back on July 26th at Lakewood Oaks Country Club in Lee Summit. Keep checking our website at kctigerclub.com for information on signups and sponsorships. Let's now welcome the athletic director of the University of Missouri, Jim Sterk. Of course, Jim had a very successful stint at San Diego State at AD and joined Mizzou in August of 2016. He has done an outstanding job in some really challenging times. Last year, 8 different Missouri teams were ranked at some point during their seasons. And in the classroom, Mizzou student athletes set records for grade point average in both the fall and spring semesters. Jim continues to move our facilities forward in the competitive Southeastern Conference, and despite a tough economy, has had some real success in recent weeks in fundraising. Just yesterday, the department announced a $1.4 million gift toward the new football practice facility and the men's basketball program Excellence Society. Jim, welcome. That's pretty big win there yesterday with another gift. I don't know if the donor is on our call or not, as he is anonymous, but talk about some of the success you've had in fundraising in a very tough economy.
Yeah, it carried over. The south end zone was really spectacular as far as the support that we received to allow that south end zone to move forward. It was a $104 million project, and we received over $54 million in gifts, and then the revenue from the premium seating is driving the rest of the coverage of the bonds. But the indoor was something that from Gary Pinkel on, as far as trying to have another indoor space, and we are the most northern school in the Southeast Conference. And when I was actually, just before I interviewed for the job, spoke to then Commissioner Mike Slive and Greg Sankey, and they said Mizzou was behind in facilities, and it's amazing to think of that. But over the past decade now, we're with the indoor, it'll be over $200 million of improvements to Faurot Field and Memorial Stadium. So it's getting us there. It's going to put us on a level playing field, and it really helps. But it all comes down to people that are willing to support the program. And we had 2 lead gifts of $10 million each to help jumpstart the fundraising for a $31 million project. And we're continuing. Once they go anonymous, everyone's going to be anonymous almost. That they don't want to be, well, if they don't want to put their name out there, then I shouldn't. I'm a smaller donor, but obviously significant gifts at any level, and appreciative of those. But it allows us to continue to move forward and be even more competitive in the Southeast Conference, and allows Eli to be on a level playing field with anybody in the league.
The new football practice facility, have you determined the final location, and is there an estimated completion date?
Yes, so it'll be, if you are familiar with actually the west side, if you go down that road, there's a ramp that comes out of the weight room, out of the southeast end zone facility, and the student athletes will be able to walk right across that road and visually take down lot C, and they'll be able to walk right into that building. So it'll impact some parking, especially the year of construction. But by May, we have to have our financial plan and the details of the facility for the board to approve, and then we'll be moving forward, and then it'll be August of 22 the completion target date.
Other facilities possibly in the works going forward?
I'm drinking because I spoke to the MU retirees this morning, so I'm losing my voice. I'm not used to this. Well, softball, baseball, and soccer will benefit from football moving out of there. They use the Devine Center and need even more time, so that'll benefit them. The Green Tennis Center is probably the facility that it's in the worst condition, if you will. That indoor facility, and we're the most northern school. A lot of the schools don't need much of an indoor space. Ours is used almost exclusively during the SEC season because of the weather. We'll need to, at a minimum, reskin it. We have designed for a new facility, but it would take a large major gift to kick that off. Others, one project that we had to put on hold last year, right at this time, was remodeling of the locker rooms inside the arena, the basketball arena for men's and women's basketball, and that medical training space. We're actually remodeling that, and that's a $5 million renovation that'll be going on. Actually, they've started that already.
Our baseball state, as you mentioned, we're the northernmost school in the conference, and in baseball, the SEC is uber competitive. We obviously have a weather disadvantage. Are any plans to finish off that field or make any improvements over there, or even move it so it's not in a wind tunnel?
Yeah, that's one. The field is something that we're looking at as we the game field will need to be changed out, and we're looking at bids from folks to see what it would cost to do the entire baseball field and the football field at the same time, and may tie it to the indoor project. So we have a lot of artificial surfaces that need to be replaced or improved, and so that's a big game changer if you can have your entire field in a turf situation for baseball. We did that at Washington State, and the first year we did it, we made it to a regional afterwards because they were able to hone their craft even better. You are absolutely right. Uber competitive, and the facilities in the Southeast Conference are some of the best in the country, if not the best. But a lot of times it comes down to resources. I don't have operational dollars to do that. It'll take outside support to do that. Our operation, in some respects, is 100 million less than some of those in the SEC, and about 50 million on an average basis on an annual basis. So where we need to grow is ticket sales and those gifts that allow us to move forward with those kind of projects. We've had that in football. We need that from a baseball community.
Talking to Mizzou Athletic Director Jim Sterk. If you'd like to ask Jim a question at the end of our discussion, please enter it in the chat box at the bottom of your screen. Jim, when you look back on the last year, how do you think the department came through the pandemic?
We survived. That's number one. Two, I think we have the opportunity in a lot of respects to catch our competitors in the SEC. I talked about the budget differences. They actually, in some of those instances, had larger venues and sold more tickets. So where we might be, we maybe lost $30-some million of revenue, they lost 70 or $80 million of revenue. And so as we look to right side that and build, I think we have an opportunity. I know Coach Drink really sees it as an opportunity for all the changes that have occurred in football for us to reposition and really challenge Georgia and those folks on our side, on the east side, and win a East championship. So that's we think there's opportunity. We came through. It'll help with our SEC revenues. We're reallocating those, and it'll help us cut our deficit this year. And we have a chance. We have an outside chance to balance our budget from that respect. But I was just on a call with MU retirees, and a budget was a question. How much money do you receive from the institution? We received zero, and there is no money that comes to us. Where we get about $1 million of out-of-state tuition discount, if you will, but we pay the in-state portion of that. So as you know, that's a significant amount, and that's a $12 million bill that we send over to our revenue that we send over to the institution.
You see any other belt tightening needed for the upcoming fiscal year?
We've been down. We were down 45 positions in our department. We're starting to add a few back because this, March, they call it March Madness for basketball. It's March Madness for all our sports right now because we have a lot going on. We're obviously men's basketball's making it to the Ncaa tournament and playing Oklahoma on Saturday. Women's basketball late last night got selected to the women's NIT, and they play Friday in Dallas. We have 19 of our 20 sports in competitive seasons, and the only one that's not is football, and they're in spring ball. We have the spring game this Saturday. By the way, I think over 2,000 people have already picked up tickets, and you can go online through Ticketmaster and get your tickets allocated. But we should have a great crowd this Saturday for the spring ball. So a lot of things going on. I looked one day last week, we had 7 competitions going on in one day, and not all of them home, thank God, or else our staff would be dead right now. They would not be able to survive. But we sent 5 athletes to the NCAA Indoor Championship, and we had 5 All-Americans come back. We hosted the SEC Diving and Men's Championship here in swimming. We're co-hosting wrestling in St. Louis this weekend, Thursday through Saturday, with the Sports Commission, and Coach Smith has the 5th ranked team in the country, and I know he's got his game face on, and he's ready to go. We have an opportunity to maybe score higher than we ever have in the history of the school. So a lot going on. And then in the meantime, we're also a vaccination site, for a regional vaccination site with MU Healthcare. We partnered with them, and the Walsworth Families Columns Club is the site where we can handle, they can process 2,000 vaccines a day. And so once the amount of vaccines become more plentiful, they could do over 10,000 in a week, or 14,000 in a week. So it's going to be a busy spot for us.
It's strange. We had the NCAA cross country championships Monday, and I think they're basically the same week as the indoor track championships. You have volleyball competing. As you said, everybody's in action. What a crazy year. I do want to talk about some of the teams in postseason. Men's basketball team, as you said, will play Oklahoma on Saturday. That game at 6:25 on TNT. Seeding, maybe a little bit of a disappointment, considering you're in the same bracket as the best team in the country, but it's great to be back in the NCAA tournament the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, and for Konzo, it's his 2nd in 4, and I just spoke to him today, asked him how things were going in Indy, and that's a whole nother deal as far as the protocols and all. But they had to have 7 negative tests before they could start a practice, and so 7 days in a row of negative testing, and so they went directly from Nashville to Indianapolis, and are there. There's been hiccups. They missed a practice last night because of operationally it didn't. They received their clearance on their negative test, but word didn't get to the folks, and so he said it would have been a problem if it was Thursday, but Saturday they've got a lot of time to prep, and they're excited about the opportunity. They obviously, there are games we would want back. With Tillman out a couple games, we probably could have gotten those. We had 2 games that were canceled because of our opponents with COVID issues, and those were the 2 worst teams in the league, and those could have added to our win column and helped with our seeding. But we have the toughest seeding spot in the country, I think. But we play better when our competition is higher, and we beat the number 1 seed in Illinois, one of the number 1 seeds. So I like our chances. We've got a veteran team and excited in the leadership of Coach Martin.
What kind of a traveling party will join the team, if any, and what will the protocols be?
So if we're not already with them, no one is joining them. So
you won't go there yourself then?
I will go there, but as a fan. And so there were 34 slots that you had to account for, and that's trainers and everyone else, medical training, physical training. All those folks have been basically testing the last 7 days and in their bubble, if you will. And then that can't change once you can't go in and out of that, out of that group. So they're locked in. They all have, Konzo said it, all the teams in their hotel, they each have a floor, and then they're able to, they manage it so no team is leaving at the same time. They don't cross paths, all of that. It's a crazy operational challenge that they have in Indy, but they've had all year to do it. As Commissioner Sankey said, we've had championships, and the Ncaa hasn't had a championship in over a year, but we've had cross-country championship, we've had soccer, we've had football. So they need to get it right and smooth out all of the issues.
You mentioned the women's team, which had a lot of challenges with COVID this year, but finished the season fairly strong. Didn't get a WNIT bid. Their record was below 500, but their net rating was pretty solid and played a good schedule. So good to see them. They're going to Fort Worth. Is that correct? Or?
Yes, they'll play Fresno State on Friday in Fort Worth at 2:00. And I'm not sure on TV. I haven't seen anything as far as how that's going to be accommodated, or if it's streaming or whatever. But just with everything going on, I'm not sure how they're going to pack everything all together.
Really happy with Robin. She's been a frequent visitor to our club in person back when we could do that. I want to talk to you about the Mizzou wrestling team. As you mentioned, ranked 5th in the country, sending 10 wrestlers to St. Louis. This could be Brian Smith's best team. What kind of fan presence will we be able to have there? And what do you think of the Tigers' chances?
Yeah, I'll be going there Thursday and at least Friday too. And I like our chances. He's not, Brian's a veteran coach, and he's not going to, claim victory until it happens. So, but I think they've been focused throughout the year. They're a talented group, having 10 wrestlers and gives us a great chance to score well. But it all comes down to, win in advance, and they'll be doing that starting Thursday morning at 10:00. I think it starts. So excited to see them in person. I think they limited number. I think it might be in the 20% of capacity, but it should be a great tournament.
Spring game this Saturday for football, coming off a bowl bid and a strong recruiting class for Coach Drinkwitz. You got to feel good about where the program is. And follow-up question to that, do you anticipate we'll be able to have full attendance this season?
Yeah, really excited about the program and under his leadership. He's a character, as you guys know from having him on.
He bought beer for everybody at the flea market last
That's
year.
right. I remember that. I was there. Yeah. His first visit. So that's memorable for everyone, I'm sure. So, but he's a great offensive mind. Really is surrounded by a lot of great assistant coaches and analysts, and is not afraid to get some veterans in there, and he has one former NFL head coach that's a consultant. It's probably hasn't been released, so I better not say anything. But anyway, he that's here working with him as well, and it's really I'm excited about it. Got a great schedule to lay out, and for them to build on success, and it's nice having a couple quarterbacks that that are in-house, and we don't have to test them out at the start of the year to see whether they're they can run it or not. But also that last year he only had a couple practices before shutting down on his offense and installed a whole new offense for our team. And so I like how he'll be able to develop that and build upon that. Coach Wilkes, having a veteran NFL collegiate defensive coordinator, I think that really gives us the CEO of the defense, as Eli likes to say sometimes, but he can turn it over to him and feel like he has somebody that really can help elevate our program and by playing great defense. And you said it, the recruiting, they've done a great job. I've told them they don't need to travel. They can just do it by Zoom for the rest of the time. We can save a heck of a lot of money. But excited about that, and we're expecting to be able to sell the place out, and we need to do that and encourage people to come back. Whether there or not there's some kind of restrictions, I don't know. We'll have to see where the pandemic is and where the local health officials and the university fall in on that. But we've had great cooperation with the university. We have a medical task force in the SEC, and there's one on campus as well, dealing with issues because we've had to pivot and change a lot as we've dealt with all the issues.
You mentioned Steve Wilkes. I was personally very excited about that hire. I thought it showed a real commitment by the athletic department to do whatever it takes to go out and get the best guy available. Your comments on that?
Yeah, it takes a village, and we really needed to make sure that we had and tried to get the best candidate possible. Eli had some possibilities, including internal, but Steve is a home run hire, I think, by him, and it's a credit to Eli that folks with that kind of resume are excited about coming to Mizzou. Obviously a great place and great university, but you also it's your boss that you work with. And so I think that speaks volumes to the type of leader we have in Eli and the football program.
I'd like you to comment on the new SEC football contract, what that will mean, and when will the impact of that be felt? How far down the road?
I think it's the 24 season is the first year of that. There'll start to be a few little changes with ESPN, but it'll, for those of you that don't know, ESPN or Disney basically purchased the rights and that were held by CBS. The next couple of years, we plan to have CBS as a partner still, but then by I think it's the 24 season. It's 24-25, I think, now that I'm saying it, but it's a huge impact. They'll have ABC as the network, and that'll be great. They plan to do some really creative things. And then as far as revenue, it continues to increase it, and actually it'll help us as we try to even out the challenges of this year. It'll help us with our revenues to be able to handle the expenses that we're dealing with this year.
We've all gotten pretty comfortable watching games from our home through the last year, and I wonder what the discussion was among your peers about effects that might have on attendance down the road.
That's something that's been, there's when I started watching football at my grandfather's, it was black and white and pretty fuzzy, and you could barely tell the numbers.
Me too.
and some of you can relate to that. And now, the high definition and the replay and it's an experience. And that's why we invested a lot, actually $4 million into that video board in the south end zone. And I think it really helped the game day experience. And we really need to continue to do things to enhance that game day experience and make it special. And so we're looking at ways to do that. We're in the process of hiring a new marketing director, and that was a position we had open during COVID, but but we're going to be gearing up, and we hired Ryan Alpert back, and he's someone that's really going to push in that area as well. But I think you can't get away from, what in-person experience means, and we want to just continue to build upon that because there's great revenue from TV, but we want the game day atmosphere to be great as well.
Well, I would think colleges would do better than the professionals because of the game day experience is so much more complete. I think I'm pretty comfortable now just watching NFL at home rather than going in person. The crowd is less sober. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, one of the other challenges.
You mean the crowd in your home is less sober?
That too. Yeah. Well, we don't. It's free. The beer's free. So. One other thing I want to ask you about, budget-wise, with seniors retaining a year of eligibility, in fact, everybody retaining a year of eligibility, what does that do to the scholarship limits, and how do you fund all that?
Very good. That's the $1 million or more question. I know we don't know the full impact yet. I think with football, I've heard from Eli that we'll probably have 12 back. So winter sports, I'm not sure. Conzo has a veteran team. He might get 1 or 2 back. I'm not sure. But the total impact, it's going to be in the 500,000 or more increase in scholarship bill. So it's going to be significant. And we're tackling those as we go. We're actually starting to build our budget, and for this next year, we go to June 30th is the end of our fiscal year, and then July 1st starts a new one. But we'll have to see how we deal with that.
The Ncaa has relaxed the transfer rules some. Do you continue to see that kids will be able to move back and forth without having to sit out a year?
Yeah, it really has changed, both to the detriment and to the benefit. I've heard a lot of kids got in the portal, and then they're maybe not finding a good home, and so once they go, then the coach is obviously going to, once they say they're going, the coach is going to replace that scholarship and have someone there. But sometimes they want to come back because there's not, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side, and so there's been challenges with that. It's going to become even more. You saw was it the Big Ten? No, it was the ACC saying that they were going to allow intra-conference transfers, and so far as the SEC, we haven't been there, but we may be forced to do something there. I'm not sure, to sit out a year at least, because otherwise it just makes for bad blood within the conference if people are pilfering your team from one year to the next.
It's been quite a year for you, I know. When you look back on it, how do you think, what do you think the condition of the athletic department is relative to other schools across the country?
I think we're strong. I think we have and it's because we have a great group of coaches that are leading the programs. Those are the frontliners with our student athletes, and they've been able to, in some respects, even enhance their program during this time, and I think that student athletes want to play for somebody that they respect and play hard for, and they treat with respect, and so I think we've done very well. Others maybe not so much. A lot of programs have dropped sports. We've been able to hold tight on that, and I don't ever want to do that. I've had to do that before. It's not a great thing, but we're going to be just kind of to foresee what's going to happen. The Supreme Court's looking at the Alston case, the Alston versus the Ncaa, and really part of that is name, image, and likeness in there. And you may see intercollegiate athletics change significantly based on the Supreme Court's decision. We're expecting that in July or so, sometime this summer, and the Ncaa may have to pivot with all of that, and you may see a lot of changes, or it may be minimal. I'm just not sure where it's going to go, but you could see significant changes in the future.
Well, I think you've had to navigate an unbelievable situation, and I really am proud to have you as an athletic director, and I think you've done a great job. But we've all had challenges with the pandemic, but some of yours have really been tough.
Yeah, my wife, about April or May, maybe my wife said, you might want to talk to somebody because, maybe I was babbling in the room, or just, the challenges, the weight of, okay, how do we deal with, if we don't have sports in the fall, and, we were dealing with all those kinds of questions of how do you run a department and you have no revenue, if things were shut down completely. And the good thing is with the SEC and Commissioner Sankey did a heck of a job keeping everyone together, but we had great advice of waiting to make a decision until we absolutely had to, because no one had gone through it before. I think it was 1918 with the Spanish flu was the closest thing, but no one had gone through it before. And so we kept moving ahead, and we normally have 11 AD calls in a year and 4 in-person meetings. And we've had 4 in-person meetings and 105 AD calls, Zoom calls. And some of those were 2 hours long. And so we first started every day, then it became a couple times a week, and now we're down to one a week, basically, just dealing with all the different issues. And so, but misery loves company. Everyone was going through, hard times and issues, and I just, feel blessed that we've been able to navigate and move through, and we've had minimal impact to our student athletes.
All right, are you ready for some questions from our viewers?
Sure.
Okay, first one, can we have a top 10 basketball team? Do we have the resources and ability and the national recognition?
Yeah, actually, we were ranked 10th, and then unfortunately, Tillman had a death in his family, and he was in the Ole Miss game, was probably mentally out, and then the next 2 games he was physically out. But they've been gearing back up. I think this team, even now, our draw is really, really tough, but I expected us to make some noise in the tournament, and with a veteran group, I think we can. Facility wise, I mentioned upgrade to our team locker room and medical training areas. There may be more, and we need to invest in that program, and we're doing that right now, is analyzing where we are versus top 20, 25 teams. Where are they in resources and salaries for assistants and support, folks in those areas and facilities. And Conzo wants to, tour facilities and see, okay, maybe pick up ideas of what we can do to continue to build and enhance our program. But his goal is to be the last team standing, and my job is to help, give resources to be able to, that he can do it. And the great thing about it, and given the challenges of men's basketball, we have somebody that, impeccable integrity, and we can sleep at night that we're not going to cut corners, but he's going to do it the right way. And I think you're going to see those programs eventually, those programs that have cheated, that there's going to be some significant consequences.
Plans for the Hearn Center?
If you look, our venue, our competitive venue, long term, we continue to invest in it. Coach Smith says he'll say it quietly, it's one of the best wrestling facilities for him in the country, as most competitive, both from a practice standpoint and the competition. When we did the south end zone, we invested in a new center hung scoreboard. We had the Hearns flood of 2018. We had insurance money that allowed us to put a new flooring in, and so we've invested. It's a great venue for wrestling, for gymnastics and volleyball, and it continues to be a very useful building. So we've continued to keep it. It takes about 10 million even to tear it down, and we do everything in there from blood drives, one of the largest blood drives in the country. 4-H and FFA have meetings in there, state meetings. It's a very, very useful facility.
Are there any plans to coordinate with MU Health and vaccinate student athletes at a mass event like it is happening on the east side of Faroe each weekend?
So not as far as our student athletes as a group per se, but we are partnering with MU Health, and so with that, and we're whenever the students are able, we'll be able to do that. But we have no, we've received no direction as far as from MU Health as far as when we might be able to do it as a group.
Why do you think the NCAA won't allow recruiting visits on campus, but will allow thousands of fans in the stands for March Madness?
That's a great question. The fans are not going to be in contact with the student athletes and coaches, and so there's going to be a separation, if you will, and so they won't cross. If on-campus visits, I expect it probably after June that we'll be able to start to have unofficial visits and things like that. But campuses are pretty limited as well as far as visitors and things. So we have with our student athletes strict protocols and testing and all, and to we have to be very careful when we open it up to everyone coming in. Student athletes could, if we would have had recruiting and a high school kid and a coach comes into our basketball arena, it could have knocked out our basketball team from playing in the Ncaa tournament. So those are the things that you've got to look at and balance. But I expect this summer, if the trends continue and the vaccinations continue to increase, and expect by this summer that it'll open up.
I'm going to combine two questions here because they're similar. Are there any tentative ideas for replacing Lot C parking that will be lost with the new construction? And has there been any thought given to building structured parking in the ravine to the south of Lot C?
Yeah, that ravine. So we're going to be, moving into that with the indoor project, and so Lot C will retain. I think there might be around 300 spots. We'll get back over 200, I think, with it. And then we're also looking at as an alternate of increasing some parking down below in G. So we're looking at how we do that. The parking on campus is controlled by the university as far as parking and structures, and so I think they're very expensive. I asked that question when I first got here about creating parking structures, and I think they had maximized their bonding on the revenue that they receive from parking. So it's an expensive proposition to start, but if it increases parking at some point in time, I expect that to happen.
Next question. The pandemic cost us the opportunity to play Arkansas at Arrowhead last season. Are there any plans to schedule future games at Arrowhead and or T-Mobile Center?
Yeah, that Arrowhead, we will, it was kind of mutual. the Chiefs didn't want us and we were worried about going there. So it would have been complicated things. We talked about it, but I think we'll look at this year, we're going to Fayetteville. But the following year when Arkansas comes back, we'll look at that and start talking to the Chiefs. That could be a possibility that weekend. And that's probably the most likely target, if you will, to bring a game there. But we'll look at all alternatives, and we have great relationship with them, and they're a great partner. So we'll look at how that can. We need to bring a game back there per our contract. So it'll be in the next, I would guess, in the next 5 years.
At what point in the interview process did you get to see the character of Coach Drinkwitz, and what made you realize you had the right guy?
Yeah, that's a great question, both from a standpoint of just when I first talked to him on the phone before Zoom was popular. His personality and knowledge and the total package jumped out of the phone at me, even without video. And I called Alex Cartwright, our chancellor, and I said, "You got to talk to this guy. I think he could be it." And so Alex talked to him. He calls me back and he said, "Jim, what do you call it? I think I have a bromance with him." He was talking about level 4 leadership and so that was the first. And then when we went to visit him in person, Daryl Chapman, former football player, I said, "Daryl, you asked the question, the athletics question of Eli when we were in a small little hotel room, a Holiday Inn or something." And so Daryl asked the question. He said, "Coach, so you're in a recruit's home. I'm the recruit. One of the curators was the dad and one was the mom." And Eli, just like that, he turns to the mom, "Ma'am, we're going to take great care of your son, and he's going to have a great experience here. And we will let you know if there's any issues, but he's going to grow as a person here at Mizzou." He turns to the dad and said, "Dad, your son's going to be an NFL player. We can," and immediately he changed from the mom mentality that might be to the dad who was only thinking about, is my son going to be the next best NFL player? And then he turns to Daryl and he says, "Son, you're really talented. Now you need to lose a few lbs, a few pounds and we're going to make you bigger, faster, and stronger." And it was just boom, boom, boom. I saw the wit, the knowledge, and a personality that people would love and could relate to recruits, and had looked at obviously what he had done offensively. Every place he had been, they had improved records and better success. And so I felt we had a winner after those few things that we after doing the research and then meeting him in person.
Well, I think you did a great job there. He's making great impressions up here too. 2 more questions. Are there any future plans to expand Memorial Stadium?
No. You mentioned it as far as the TV. The people with 100,000 seat stadiums are worried, now. And I think what we do is what we did in the south end zone. We took 10,000 seats, and I think it's down maybe to 5,500 or so occupancy. But the revenue that's generated from those 5,500 is 6.8 million, and the 10,000 seats were about $1 million, just over $1 million a year. So now a lot of that is going to bond service to pay for that, but at some point there'll be revenue for increased revenue for the department. But I think we need to continue to look at those kinds of premium experiences. We have to fight the TV and remote and that free beer at home, and so we need to make that experience pretty special. And so we're going to continue to look at that and how we can do that within the stadium. It won't be enlarging, it'll be increasing quality.
Final question, how is the NCAA name, image, likeness proposal going to impact the University of Missouri Athletic Department?
Great question. Don't know yet. And I mentioned that with the Supreme Court, it could change it significantly. And I saw the chat. Where does Mark get free beer? That's distracting.
Yeah, I can't give away my secrets.
So name, image, and likeness, and I think we'll have to be prepared as an organization to pivot based on the Supreme Court decision. In the meantime, you may have seen we contracted with a company, Open Doors, and they're a group that evaluates for the pros. They have pro players that are signed on with them, and it values their social media content. So they can say, okay, Patrick Mahomes, Taco Bell wants to hire you for an ad. Here's what they're going to pay. You do this, and then all the money is exchanged there. There could be that to that point. I hope not to that level with the name, image, and likeness, but it may be of you have this business as a student athlete, but your social media is evaluated at, you could maybe make $10,000 this year for doing some things. So it's a moving target. I don't know where it's going to land is the best answer I can give you.
Any final thoughts you want to share with us?
Just appreciate it. Appreciate your interest and support, and be ready to come back full force this fall. And that's what we're planning for. And I think we have, as I said, a great group of coaches that are leading our programs, and excitement. We're not done yet. And hopefully we can make a lot of noise and beat Oklahoma. We got to beat Joe and Joe Castiglione there and at Oklahoma, and then take on the Zags. And I'd nothing better than to beat the best. So.
Well, I'm reminded of the 1995 Mizzou team, which was an 8 seed and they were in the same bracket as number 1 UCLA. And except for 4.8 seconds, that team would have advanced to the Sweet 16. So it can be done. So
it can be done.
And
yep.
UCLA won the national championship. So
wow.
I'm optimistic about the weekend. Jim, thank you very much. It's always great to talk to you. We look forward to seeing you in person maybe this fall.
Yep.
And we appreciate all you do, and you have our full support.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Thank you all.
All right. Next week, we will have Alec Lewis. He's a Mizzou grad who covers the Kansas City Royals for The Athletic. And then our final call of the year will be 2 weeks from today with Blair Kerkhoff of the Kansas City Star, who's currently the beat writer for the Tigers. You're always welcome your feedback at info@kctigerclub.com. And again, please check our website at kctigerclub.com for upcoming events, especially specifics about the golf tournament. Everybody have a great week. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Don't party too hard. I will, my beer won't all be free tomorrow, but I will have some of it. Anyway, have a great week, everybody.